Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Tuesday Arty class hosted by Shopkeep Arty, the hassle-free platform for artists and creatives to sell their work, tickets for workshops or events, as well as personalized clothing and other items. For those of you watching for the first time, be it on this interactive webinar or via YouTube, this weekly webinar is for all ages, providing something a little bit different every week. It's good for your general well-being and mental health. In fact, we've been told that if you get your friends involved, you can then have an opportunity to compare your paintings later on in the week, and it can be quite a lot of fun. So give that a try. It's a good recommendation. You do need to register each week for the webinar, and the link for next week's Arty class is currently live on Shopkeep Arty. So if you go to shopkeeparty.com, visit Arty classes in the menu, and you can register for next week. You'll also notice on that page, excuse me, that there's a link to a private workshop that we're running this Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a 2+ hour workshop with Jane Bettridge and is great if you're passionate about your art. It's also a good opportunity to pick up new techniques, have some fun and create your own masterpiece. I think there's only 3 places left on that workshop. So if you do fancy giving that a go, the last one was really good. We had some fantastic reviews. So maybe have a look and book your place. This week, we're pleased to welcome back Helga Picknell, who runs an art school and has displayed work in prestigious places such as the Museum of Modern Art in Brussels. As most of you should know by now, Helga and I can't see you or hear you, but you can interact with us if you want. You can type on chat, or if you press the little raised hand icon, I can see that and I can invite you in to ask a question directly to Helga. I've also got a poll feature where I can ask a question and I can see in real time people saying yes and no and things like that. We'll stop around halfway to take a break and look at last week's amazing paintings. We had a lot of submissions last week, so that'll be quite fun. But for now, it's time to hand over to Helga and discover what we can produce this week with some interesting materials. Before I do that, there's a little disclaimer that I need to say, because this does involve the use of bleach, and it does create amazing effects, but bleach is a hazardous material. So if you are a younger artist taking part, please, if you could have an adult supervision with that, and you must have them present while you're sort of using it, put it in a pot. Just be responsible. And it shouldn't come into contact with your skin because it can be really irritable. It's quite a powerful substance. But when you put it on the paper, you'll see what happens. It's quite amazing. So anyway, enough said on that, and let me go over to Helga. Hello, Helga.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Right. So today we are going to hopefully create a landscape. Yeah, there we are. So a landscape might be a seascape. We'll see what happens. And I've also decided that we probably land up making more than one work. So the process is very quick, but where you might make 10, 9 of them might go in the bin, and 1 of them you think is probably good enough to keep. So don't get disheartened. It's very experimental. Just, you know, is what it is really. So great fun. Well, I think so. Right, I'm just going to put this one to one side. Oops. Okay. I've got another little example here where I've used different colors, because it doesn't always have to be sort of dark and miserable colors. So I've put a little bit of pinky tones in there. And for this one, I think John put it on the little thing of products that you can use. Instead of quinking, in addition to quinking, sorry, I've actually used some Dr. Martens inks, which are these ones here. So if you haven't got it, don't worry. It's just you know, quite nice to know, you know, what else works and what else is out there. And then perhaps maybe towards the end we can sort of have a little look what we can actually do. So rather than bin them all, if they do go a bit pear-shaped, within a work you can look and see if there are good parts, and then what we can do to enhance them.
Is there any chance you could hold that a bit closer to the camera, Helga? Oh yeah, that's great. And apologies for this distance. Oh no, it's okay, to the right, that's it. Apologies for the distance from this artwork, but Helga's had to move to a different location in her house because her son is currently doing his masters and he's doing some exams at the moment. So we're tucked in. I don't know whether you're in a small room anyway, and I think it gets very hot as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the smallest room can imagine.
I know. So, but thank you very much. But we'll try and hold things up so that you can see.
Yeah, I've actually put a board on top of a bed, so this is how I'm working. I'm actually thinking, just got this thought. Sorry, everyone, just knocking things flying. If I put this underneath, and that will be a little bit closer. There we are.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's always a solution. Okay, so very experimental. I have got some bits and pieces ready. I've tried to label everything as well, because I know there are a fair few people from Belgium. They might be watching via YouTube, but they might look up the names in their own pace. I've got Quink ink. I've actually used black Quink ink, and Quink ink is just ordinary pen ink, you know, the little cartridges, little pen cartridges. It's black Quink ink, and I've put a blob of, in this case, sepia watercolor in there, which I will mix up in a minute. I've got my coffee granules. Now what I'm gonna do with them is just with the back of a pencil or something like that. Mine are quite large, so I'm just gonna grind them a little bit. Probably best not on my paper. Just to make them a little bit smaller, makes it a bit easier to work with. Oh yeah, I'll use the middle of that later. Then I've got some coffee again, but I'm just going to put a little bit of water onto the coffee, just so it will dilute a bit later on. That's fine. I have my pot with a bit of bleach, just a tiny weeny bit, and another one with Quink ink only, and I've got one with watercolor only. And again, I've just stuck to sepia, but you don't have to choose, you know, a brown color. So sepia is just that lovely, lovely brown. Right, and then it's just experimenting really. So what I have done before I've done anything else really, this way up, sorry, is I quite like to sort of write different notes, and that's quite nice for the future really, to just so you remember what you've done. So this is Quink ink, and this is black blue Quink ink. That's what it's called. So it actually comes in a pot like that color. And then I've basically put some bleach on there to see what the effect is. And it's quite a nice thing to actually keep hold of, because it's nice to know what everything does. Sepia, so this is watercolor, and the effect of bleach on watercolor is very, very little. So it bleaches it a little bit, but not very much at all. Now that's quite interesting. That's good to know, because we can make use of that, and I will explain obviously how. And if you put it on the wet paint, it kind of runs in a little bit and creates, you know, what could be little trees almost, you know, in the distance. This is sepia watercolor and black Quink ink. And this is where it becomes interesting, because we know that it has no real effect on watercolor, but the bleach has an effect on black quinking or on any quinking, so it makes it disappear. So if you put mix the two together and then put bleach on it, what will remain is your watercolor color. So if you would have decided to put, I don't know, green in there, you land up with a green line. So that's the sort of thing that's fun to then know and then to use within your work. So all this we'll come back to later. So just, yeah, play basically. So I've actually divided my sheet of paper up with a little bit of masking tape. It just makes it easier really to have some smaller pieces, because what I land up doing, like I showed earlier, is I sometimes make cards with it, and actually I think that's quite a nice thing to do, especially if you've never done it before. Right, so I've got my brushes, got my water, and I'm just going to...
Helga, could you push your paper just forward slightly away from you, just so it comes more into shot? That'd be perfect. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. So just water onto the paper.
Now, the reason you've put tape in between these bits, is that because you're going to be doing different things in each section?
Yeah, I've just split the paper up rather than use lots of different sheets of paper. I just decided to just split up the paper.
Okay.
Right, the paper I'm using is Langton. Is the Langton, and it's 140 pounds, and it's a hot pressed paper. Now, some people might not know what hot pressed paper is. So think of an iron. When your iron is hot and you go over your clothes, they're nice and smooth. So this paper is smooth paper. And if it's cold pressed paper, if you try and iron something with a cold iron, it's not going to work very well. So therefore that paper will be very lots of texture on that paper. So it's quite probably nice to know the difference between the two. It doesn't mean you have to use hot press paper. It can be with any paper, but it's just nice to throw a little bit of information in there anyway. Right, water, and I'm just going to show you how it all works with the quinking, and it's just a great effect. So for people who haven't got bleach, don't worry, because the effect is still nice even without the bleach.
I think I might just try and find out. I've got a little poll, and I'll just ask whether you're using bleach or not. We'll just find out. So I'll just launch this now. You should see the question, are you using bleach? And if you just press yes and no, that would be great. Okay, we've got 90% of people using bleach.
Oh, good. Right. You can see how that's running beautifully in there. I just think that's amazing. And that's just without the bleach. It's just, yeah, really, really nice. I'm just going to do it again. Here we are. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap there because I love the way that's run. So I don't really want to ruin that. So I'm going to rinse my brush.
And you can just rinse it in normal water, can you, with the ink?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, quink ink is nice. There's nothing, quite gentle on all your brushes and stuff. The bleach is probably a different scenario, and I've been quite naughty today because I've been using my brushes. Never mind. Right, so I'm just going to dip it a little bit into the bleach, not much, just a little bit, and I'm just just going to run over it just to show you what it does. There we are. And you're just going to tip that a little bit. So So you can see how the bleach is the black bleach always goes slightly brown in color. They all do different things. And I don't know whether there are people out there that are watching that have got brusho. If you pre-dilute brushos, each color does a different thing. So some colors disappear completely, whereas others change into a different color. And that's great.
Brusho a liquid? Is brusho a liquid?
Brusho is a powder.
Ah.
And but when you dilute it, it's a liquid. So you can either sprinkle parts on, or you can use it as like a fluid. But it's actually a fabric dye. That's what it really is. But many people I know like to work with brusho, so I just thought throw that in there as well. Right.
We're getting a lot of information today. I'm hoping everybody's taking notes.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good.
I'm very excited about everything, and then yeah, I'm just also, because you've got the bleach there, and then I've rinsed and dried my brush a little bit, and just kind of take a little bit off it and work it in so it will flow. So everything happens really slowly, so the effect continues all the time. It's actually still wet, so sort of slightly unpredictable there. But it's just so simple and so, well, I think so beautiful. I'm just going to, this was the pot with watercolor, now in my case sepia, and some quick ink, and I'm just going to dilute my watercolor into it. So as I showed earlier, there's no effect on the watercolor at all with the bleach. So this should become a little bit more brown in this case when I bleach it. And I'm just going to so you see how that is a much darker brown now. So this could be a line of trees or something, you know, so kind of don't overthink it. Because sometimes when I do this with my students, they want to work from a picture and then they want to try and recreate it. It doesn't work because it's too unpredictable. Right, so we just leave that to do its own thing. You might want to sprinkle a little bit of coffee on there.
What does the coffee do, Helga?
The coffee, so the coffee kind of, oops, you see the top one there? That's just a little bit of coffee onto water, and it kind of expands a little bit and it creates a bit of texture, just a bit of fun, and it smells nice. And you know, it's got a lovely color in its own right yet again. So just another little bit of, you know, something to play with there. So I'm just gonna, and we just leave that alone for now. So for the people who haven't got bleach, it doesn't really matter because I've only really used it a little bit here and there.
Got a question from Lala. Hold on a second. Lala, hi. You might need to unmute.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. I just wanted to know if the bleach can destroy the paper. Is there a danger?
Yeah, no, I've never had a problem with it. And in fact, this one here, because the other thing is, does it all bleach away eventually as well, or do the colors come back? This one I actually did in 2010, so it's a little bit old. So nothing really changed to it either. But no, I've never had any paper that got ruined. And earlier on, I was experimenting just to prep the lesson here. Whoops, sorry. So this is just cartridge paper and nothing really, yeah, that didn't destroy the paper at all. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully that helps. Thanks, Lala.
Right.
And also Jacques Van Delft has said, is the coffee sprinkled on the bleach or on the black paint?
It doesn't matter. So let's have a go. So so let's do a little bit of coffee painting. Right. So let's just make this wet. We'll come back to that one later because it's too wet to work on anyway. Oh, my water is nice and dirty already. Oh, a bit of coffee in there. Oh dear. That's what I mean about it being unpredictable. Oh well, that will become a tree later or something. So let's just sprinkle a little bit onto the water. I'm grinding it really, really fine into my hands. Otherwise, it sort of goes onto big blobs. But that's just on water, so it works really quite well. And then if we
those streaks upwards, that's just naturally doing that by dissolving of the coffee, yeah?
Just the way, it's just all running. And then, you can just work into it with, this is the mixture of sepia and quinking. And just to sort of let these run into each other. I love that effect. It's just so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. It just sort of allows you to free up, which is great. So at the moment, there are only children really watching or taking part. I mean, this is, lovely, I think. Put some bleach on. Oh, no, wrong one. No, let's go for that one. So this is the mixture one again. Let's put some bleach on there in a minute as well, and then put some coffee into the bleach.
Claire's got a question. Hold on a second. Oh, Claire, you've got an older version of Zoom, so I can't invite you for some reason. Would you like to just write your question on chat and I'll see? I'll put that to Helga. And then maybe next week you can just upgrade. It's free to upgrade your Zoom.
Was there a question? Or?
There was. She hasn't written it down though yet. Unfortunately, I couldn't invite her in to ask because she had an older version of Zoom.
Oh yeah, I was going to just put some bleach on, wasn't I? So a bit of bleach, and then I can't remember who asked the question, but let's put some.
So Claire's asked, could you use the bleach to create the effect for individual trees?
Yeah, we'll do that later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. There's just so much, it's sort of never ending, and you sort of play and then you learn more things. So I'm just going to put a little bit of coffee into the bleach just to show that the effect is, right, let's put some bleach down on the bottom. Oops. So let's put some. And then again, we'll have to wait, and then this will dry for a bit. Right.
So I guess the art being sent in from this week's session will be totally different. Every artwork will be extremely different.
That's great, isn't it? I mean, I think it's great. Right. Who asked just now about the tree line or making? Right, and that was with the bleach, wasn't it? Right, let's do that. There are two ways of doing it. So, well, there are probably about 1 million ways of doing it. But a fun way with trees is, right, water. Use my black. Let's go for black Queen King. I mean, look at it. That's without bleach. Oh, that's so nice. Who said skies were difficult? Right, I'm just gonna fill this in. And then what you can do is with a smaller brush, I'm going to use a rigger, but just something that's quite thin. So dip it in the bleach. And you could say, right, I want a tree line, for example, here. I'm just going to take a little bit more. I'm just going to tip that.
That looks like an amazing stormy sky.
I know, it's just so, it's just so much fun.
Andrea's got a question. Hold on a second. Hi, Andrea. Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, hi there. Hi, Helga.
Hello.
I'm just dying to do my tree line, but I just can't quite see your picture at the bottom there. Can you push it a little bit further up, please?
Oh, no, just away from you, away from you.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm useless at this. All right.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
So I did a full line. And then now I'm with the bleach, so I'm holding my paper slightly tilted so it runs away from me.
Right.
And I'm pushing it up.
Lovely. Thank you. Got it.
And just by holding it into an angle, it will do the trick. I'm just going to mop the other one up because.
Thanks, Andrea.
Okay.
Oh dear, such a mess. And you could have, for example, reflection and then, do the same thing again, but the other way around. Try and create some sort of kind of, reflection going on. If you wanted to work with bleach in there, you can. If not, you might want to leave it. Let's go for it, see what happens. Probably ruin it, never mind. Yeah. I always like to sort of teach in a way where, it doesn't matter if it goes wrong. And quite often people then just let go and just have fun. And then you quite often, because it's so experimental, the results can be quite amazing because you don't feel trying to sort of get the right word for it, but you're not too scared to have a go, shall we say.
Well, every one of the pictures that you've done so far, they're all totally different, aren't they? It's quite amazing.
Yeah, this is the thing with teaching. You kind of, because I like my teaching to be very, very varied. And therefore I sort of have to try and do just about anything and everything. But that's great because the more you know, the more you can combine the whole lot. And then, sort of makes everything, quite interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now, how about now being a good time to have a little halfway
Absolutely.
break, so that we can then have a conversation about last week's art. So last week we had some amazing, it was Jane Bettridge painting a crab, and we had some amazing art entries. So let me just share my screen. There we go. And if we go to the blog here and click on Arty Class Webinars and draw Mr. Crab. Fantastic Mr. Crab. So it was a really fairly simple, in a way. We worked off Jane's original template, and we had some amazingly different and varied pieces back, but all really effective. They look amazing. And I think quite a few people, we had lots of emails from people saying that they were going to put it framed in their bathroom or wherever. Look at this this little chap, Rookley. He did an amazing little crab. Rookley's only 4. That's his crab there. Really amazing talent. And I mean, just incredible variety of different crabs across the board. Lots of different people, and I just keep going. I mean, it was just Mimi, age 10. Look at that. That's fantastic. And Harriet, 12. According to her mom, Harriet's went a bit wrong, so she focused on the character of Mr. Crab, who's a performer and needed a top hat, and obviously an admiring crab audience. So that was quite funny. Sasha was the winner of last week's competition, the embossing one. She did a great crab there. Rishi, another previous winner. I mean, as you can tell, it goes on for ages. So I do urge you to have a look at the blog. Some amazing crabs, which is fantastic. Now I'm going to introduce Jane into the conversation, because then she can announce the winner. Hold on one second. Hello, Jane. Are you there? You're on mute at the moment. Oh, still on mute. I don't know what's happening. Oh, there we go. Jane, hello.
Can you hear me, John?
Yes, I can now. Hello. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Why can't you see me?
I don't know. Your video doesn't. Let me see if I can ask you to start video. That's all.
Oh,
Does that do that?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi.
Brilliant. Let me show you. Hello.
Nice to see everyone.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying Helga's little experiments, and I love doing things like that. And I've never tried coffee before, and I've never tried bleach before, so I'm really enjoying it. And I hope to do a bit bigger one. Like
you don't just have to drink coffee now. You know, you can use it in your art.
You can do so many things with it, can't you?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, really good one. So anyway, going back to last week's crab, it was a really popular event, wasn't it, John?
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw for yourselves when John went through the blog there, the adults, you know, I didn't see, I'm not just saying this, I didn't see a bad one. You know, they were all lovely in their own way. And the children's were amazing, especially Mr. Crab with the top hat. But there was 2 artists that did a little bit extra. One put some pebbles on, which were fantastic, but one put pebbles, sea and seaweed on. So that made me decide, because all the others were so good. I couldn't choose just from the crab itself, because they were all so really very good. So I think it's Nicola Garrett I chose. Yeah, I love the shell. Love the shells and the seaweed. The crab itself's good. you know, you've gone that little bit extra, Nicola, and so that's why I chose you. So
Great.
well done.
Thank you very much, and well done, Nicola, on that. So thank you, Jane, and
Thank you.
I'll see you this Thursday at the,
Yeah.
the private workshop.
Yeah, see you then.
Yeah.
Shall I just show the painting?
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go.
So if
Perfect.
you want to join on Thursday, I think there's 3 places left.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Right, I'm going to. I think once I actually cancelled someone, but I will try and. There we go. Bye, Jane. Right, so that's fantastic, and so Nicola, congratulations. That's really great news, and we can now go and create an item for you. So if I go back onto here, and what I'll do is click on artists, and then we'll select Jane's shop. And if we go to the create your own, there's lots and lots of different items. And actually, I thought the postcard would be really nice on the crab thing. So I might send you a, I'll write you a little message, and we can basically upload your design to the front of the postcard, because it is actually quite a big size. Jane ordered one the other week, and it's a really good, generous size. You can put it on your mantelpiece and it looks really good. So I think what we'll do is we'll stick your picture like that on there, and then I'll write you a little congratulatory message on the back. So that will be winging its way over to you. If you can, obviously, tell me your address. So if you can just send me an email with your address, that'd be fantastic. Great. So let's go back to Helga now, and we'll see what other delights we can do in those further 2 boxes, and then hopefully your artwork's coming on really well as well. Hello, Helga.
Hello again. Right. So someone asked about trees earlier on. So again, what I've just done here is I've painted this completely black, and once it's dry, you can then draw with the bleach into it, which is great fun, but it's not quite dry yet. So I'll give it a few minutes. Having said that, here's one I did earlier. And you can use, I mean, anything. I mean, I often use my little cards, but you can actually draw bits and pieces in here. So if I take my bleach and I can, now the effect is always a little bit slower. So I'm just going to kind of draw some little, can you see that all right? I'll hold it closer. I'll just do a few, then I'll hold it closer. But it's a line up, and then I'm just sort of zigzagging away with it for a minute. So you can basically just, okay, I'll do one more with cards actually as well. Could be little fence or something. I'm just sort of making it up. I'm just showing different ways of working. I'm not really kind of working on one thing, which you've probably noticed. So that's just drawn into it with bleach, and then you can create different things in it. So that works as well. So that's all great fun. So you can, you know, carry on for ages onto it. So I know, for example,
it's almost like engraving in the paint.
Yeah, it's just great fun. And, you know, I don't know how dry this is, but let's just put a few little spatting bits on there. So, you know, I don't know, it could be a flower, I don't know, it's just sort of making things up. So the great thing is, so for example, Jane Bettridge, with the last 2-hour demonstration, we had some dandelions in there. So you could mix some watercolor with Quink ink, and then actually draw maybe dandelions in there or something. So that could be quite fun. So it's, or you could press flowers in, not flowers, yeah, flowers, leaves into it. So you could, you know, put a little bit of bleach onto your leaf, not, you know, just a little bit, and then press it into it, and then you get lovely effects with the, you know, the actual, the patterns of the leaf into the bleach, into the ink, and they bleach away. That's great as well. There's so much you can do with it. But the beautiful thing is that you make it part of your work. So this will eventually, it will bleach away. So there's a slight delay.
Now, Penelope's just asked a question. Can you tell me why my watercolor paper bulges when it gets wet?
When you use too much, or well, not too much, but when the watercolor paper is a little bit thinner and it's saturated with water, it will buckle. It's just normal because you're basically kind of expanding that whole paper, and it hopefully it might come back. Someone told me that you can actually wet the surface you are working on, and then put the paper onto that, and then work on it just like normal, and it should stay a little bit more stretched. Or failing that, by slightly thicker paper, or stretch the paper beforehand. But that would be another lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. Hopefully that, yeah, Penelope says thanks. We've also got Kim who wants to ask a question. Hold on a second, Kim. If you just unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi. Do all the inks react well to using the bleach and water? Because you're talking about Quink inks, but I've got Winsor & Newton of Gold and some other ones, and would they?
It depends. I think the best thing is just to give it a go. You like I did here with the little sheet with different trials.
Right.
Some inks will work, some don't. I know I've got these Dr. Martin's ones, and I know they work really well, so I'll show that. I'll come back to this later. There's so many different things you can do, really, but the best thing is to try it. Just try on a little piece of paper. Is that helpful? Sorry, it's a bit...
There just seems to be so many different things out there that you can buy and buy and buy, and you still don't get any effect that you were possibly looking for.
But then they will have different effects, because the little Winsor & Newton inks, you can just use them without the bleach if it doesn't work with bleach, and then they will still have all these lovely effects in wet and wet anyway.
So it's trial and error, Kim, I think.
Or if it doesn't bleach away, you can then use it with a bit of Quink ink, because a bottle like this goes a long way.
Right.
And then do the old mix where when you bleach, the Quink ink will disappear, but then your other ink will remain. So you get that lovely combination.
Right.
So that's great fun as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Hopefully that's helped.
Thank you.
Colours on here. Just
and then Victoria, who was struggling with finding ink at the start, she said she's found some calligraphy dip pen ink. That'll be fine, won't it?
Yeah, that should work.
Go for it, Victoria. We've found a solution.
Nothing can happen. It's fine. So, you know, it all works. Everything, you know, will have some, you know, it will work for something.
Exactly. It's all about experimentation, isn't it?
I've just mixed a little bit of this Dr. Martin's ink, and they're lovely as well. You know, that at least you've got a bit of colour on there that way. Let's go a bit of pink. What doesn't work is the acrylic ink. That does not bleach, but then that can have its advantages, because you can use the acrylic ink under your paper. So again, for the people who work you know, like have seen Jane Betteridge's artwork, you can use the acrylic inks, leave it to dry, and then work with bleach and this quick ink on top of it. And then you get all your acrylic inks come through when you use the bleach. So that's great fun as well.
Wow.
So it's never ending, really.
Now, Helga, may I ask you just to hold it up? That black one, I can see there's a few little dots, but I can't really see anything else.
Yeah, no, I need to go over it because I don't think I was using enough bleach.
Okay.
Too careful there, so I'm just going to go over that. Whoops, big drop.
Jill said, that's why mine isn't working. I'm using acrylic ink.
Ah, yeah.
There we go.
Acrylic ink doesn't bleach.
Problem solved.
You know, you still get nice effects. Right. This is this one here was the Dr. Martens one. So I'm just gonna. It's just so immediate, isn't it? You can just do so much with it. It's just great fun. An ink that doesn't work either is Indian ink. So I've got a little bit of Indian ink here, but again, that's quite, you know, you can just use it in a different way. Then you can just sort of and just the way that runs is lovely. So you don't always need the bleach anyway. Sort of create some great fun things. So it's just an idea really of, you know, all the bits and pieces you can do. And then another thing you can then do is draw into it. So I've got this other little white pen here. So you could say, right, so I like to do this. I sort of like to think, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, look at an area that I like, for example. I mean, you know, and then you might want to, right, so let's have a look. We've got our tree line here, so we could enhance that here and there.
It's amazing what a border does when you put a border around something.
Yeah. It actually helps you also to focus on one area. When I work sort of on bigger works, I tend to actually always use a mount just here, and you know, I stop, I will use a mount, and then I will work within that mount, take a picture of that, and then carry on. But I do find that useful to sort of lay a mount around things.
Hmm.
Sheep. That's a sheep. You know, it just suddenly, you know, brings it, you know, brings it to life. There's something happening there, isn't there?
Yeah. Any chance you could just bring it a bit closer to the
camera?
There you go. Oh, perfect. Yeah, there we go.
No, that way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really good at this. So yeah, so hopefully that sort of gives you, you know, a little bit of an idea of what, you know, what you can do with it really. You can throw salt onto it. So that's another great fun way of working. So most people should have some salt. What else have I done? Oh, that's something interesting. Don't know if So especially for Jane, almost there. Where am I? I noticed that when you put the bleach onto the acrylic ink, it was granulating almost in the way granulation medium did. So I don't know if you can see it. So I think Jane and I are on a mission to try and find out how to make granulation medium. And yeah, so then earlier on I sort of was playing with spattering, probably not very health and safety conscious there, but splattering with the bleach to create sort of a bit of froth in the sea. So that works.
Oh, right. So that froth was done. Would you mind holding that closer?
No.
So push it away from you, Keep going. There we go. Oh, back.
Delay on my screen, so it's very.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's great.
So that's just basically, I show it, but I suggest the children not to do it. Now let me get a bit of bleach. So
is that with a little palette knife? Oh, with a paintbrush you did that.
Palette knife, yeah.
Palette knife.
Oops.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and yeah,
that's very effective.
Yeah, very. Yeah, it works really easily.
Yeah.
So loads here. It doesn't really. Yeah, here I sprinkled more coffee onto it, and yeah, just it. Once you sort of start, give yourself like half a day of spending time in the fumes of bleach and coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's great fun to sort of draw, because here I've drawn with white onto it, and then you could just sort of take your bleach, and if you wanted, I don't know, you might want a few birds into there. Yeah, anything really.
No, that's brilliant. Well, it's given us a really good insight into using this fairly interesting medium, and I don't know whether anybody else has used bleach before or had these experimentations between bleach, coffee, and ink, but it's certainly a real eye-opener for me anyway. So to see all the different types of things, and some of the things like the froth on the edge of the sea there, that was
yeah, that works really well.
Really, but really effective.
Yeah, works really well with the bleach. It's great fun. And it's all about tilting your paper, and obviously this is quite a short time span, but waiting for it maybe to dry a little bit, so that you can take your time to to tilt the paper, so you've got it a little bit more under control. You might want to do a half, put a tissue on it, so you don't ruin one half, and then sort of play again with other bits and pieces. So it's just a learning curve. But the one thing I would suggest is just to experiment and write little notes on how you've done it, and what works and what doesn't work, because then and then you can combine the two and use both. Just use that as a positive thing, that what it all does really.
Yeah, we've got Margaret with a question. Let me just invite her in. Margaret, you're on mute. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Does bleach work with the brush show?
Yes. Yeah, great fun with brush show.
Good.
Really
I shall give it a go.
Because you can either maybe paint some of the paper with brush show, with bleach, sorry, and then just sprinkle some different colors in, and every color reacts in a different way. And then, of course, if you pre-dilute them, it's almost like using the Dr. Martens ink in a way. But just to do two things as a combination, great fun.
Yeah, and you know, I've got no coffee. I don't drink coffee, so
Yeah, I must
I'll
have
have a go with the
learned
brush.
how to do coffee again.
Yes,
But yeah,
brusho.
the brusher, I didn't choose brusher purely because I don't think many people would have it. But
Okay.
absolutely brilliant to work with. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Margaret. And
Thank you.
Rosemary has said, Helga, can you show them how bleach reacts with Quink blue black ink, please?
Blue black. Yes, I can. Right, let me get another sheet of paper. Right.
Sorry to use a fresh piece of paper.
It
That's
doesn't matter. I'll sell them later, you know.
yeah, exactly.
I'll be queuing. Right, let's make it wet. And yeah, so this is blue black. And then what I'm going to do is I'll put the black one on the bottom as well, so that we see both on one part. And a little bit there. Right. And now we take our bleach. So it goes a lovely, lovely turquoisey color.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, great, isn't it? So if I go over both here, so you've got the one that goes sort of that browny color, but the blue back is, yeah, look at that stunning turquoise. And now I'm just going to hold it, oops, tilt that slightly because I love what's happening here.
Yeah.
That's it. And then we might put a bit of coffee in there.
What does tea do? Does tea do anything? Tea
Yeah,
leaf?
stain it as well. Depends if it works. It depends what tea it is.
I mean, it's an amazing landscape, and it was literally painted in about a minute.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can then, I don't know, it's just so much. I mean, I could be here forever. You know, you can manipulate that slightly with the back of your brush or something, you know, if you wanted to create some trees and just sort of work that along a little bit. Or if you've got a field with flowers, another nice thing to do is when it's almost dry, oops, you just drop a little bit of here and there, just little drops of bleach into it, and you land up with, I don't know, it's just like a flower shape kind of thing. And that's just great fun because, you know, a bit like a dandelion, I suppose. And it's just there's an end. It's just loads that you can do with it. You can get very carried away with it.
Yes.
Very therapeutic. But yeah, the blue black is lovely as well. So just yeah.
That's fantastic. And Emma likes that too. Emma said she loves how you've shown the blue and black. That's really good. So Thank you, Helga. Another week. Are there any more questions out there from anybody else? Anything else that you want to comment on, ask from Helga? Hopefully you've all been getting very experimental, and we'll see some amazing art submissions for during the next week.
Look forward to them.
Thank you, says Linda. No problem. And obviously, once you've finished doing your landscape creation, please do send it to us at arty@shopkeepeasy.com. It's the same email you got the invite for this webinar, arty@shopkeepeasy.com. We've also got our private workshop this Thursday, and then next Tuesday we're welcoming back Tony Pears, who will be discarding her embossing tools for quilling tools. So, and if you want to find out some examples about quilling, you can search that up on Google and have a look at the Google images. It looks quite amazing. More information on that later this week. Also, just to add, we're always on the lookout for other great artists. We've had a couple of emails from people interested to feature on this Arty class. We're looking for crafts people, designers, obviously artists, watercolor, ink, whatever. So if you believe that you've got what it takes to be a feature on Arty class, or if you know somebody that you really like and you want to just email them and recommend that they come on, we really want to kind of share as many talents as possible on this channel. Helga, thanks again for your time today. It's been really useful, and I love your approach. You can see you're really enthusiastic about what you're doing, and you're getting all carried away. You're like a giddy child trying to get in and get your hands dirty, which is fantastic. It's been really enjoyable. And if you want to obviously re-watch it, because we covered a lot of things, there were some other bits of advice there, you can obviously visit YouTube, search for Shop Keep Easy, and you've got our channel there. If you subscribe to the channel, then you'll be notified every time we post a new video. And if you've enjoyed the session and you go to that video, please do press the thumbs up and like it, and maybe make a comment for Helga as well, just to say, you know, how much you enjoyed it, because that will kind of immortalize it, and it's always nice to feel appreciated. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of another Tuesday Arty class. So until next week, it's bye-bye from me, and also bye-bye from Helga.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.